Unconditional love. What comes to mind when you hear that term? For some, it's romanticized scenes from movies, or it's a warm, fuzzy feeling of a relationship where love conquers all. But let's get real for a moment. Do we truly understand what unconditional love means? Is it even possible to love someone without conditions in a world as messy as ours? Today, we're diving deep into this concept, peeling back the layers and challenging ourselves to define what unconditional love really looks like. We'll get to that right after this quick message. Hey, most of you who are watching this aren't subscribed, but subscribing is a free and easy way for you to help us spread the gospel to people all around the world. Liking and subscribing tells YouTube this content matters and helps others find it. Plus, you won't miss any videos. And I want to thank you for helping us share God's love. Let's start with the ultimate example of unconditional love, God's love for us. Romans 5:8 says, "But God demonstrates His own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Think about it for a moment. God didn't wait for us to get our act together, and He didn't hold back His love because of our imperfections. He sent His Son to die for us while we were still a big mess. That's the purest form of unconditional love that there is. But what does that mean for us in our daily lives? Because if I'm honest, loving people the way God loves can feel impossible at times. Let's break it down into three key areas where unconditional love is tested the most: romantic relationships, friendships, and family ties. First, let's talk about romantic relationships and choosing love in imperfection. You know, we live in a society that celebrates fairy tales and happily ever after. But real love, it's less about champagne and candlelight and more about choosing to love someone even on the days that they leave their dirty socks on the floor or forget their important anniversary. Ephesians 4:2-3 says, "Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace." A relatable example of that is, think about a married couple navigating financial stress. It's tempting for couples to point the fingers at each other and let resentment creep in, but true love preserves through the struggle, choosing unity over division. And that's not easy, but it's what unconditional love demands. Next, let's talk about friendships and setting boundaries while loving fully. Here's where it gets tricky for me. Unconditional love doesn't mean becoming a doormat. Proverbs 27:6 says this, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." True friends hold each other accountable even when it's uncomfortable. Loving unconditionally doesn't mean ignoring toxic behavior. It means caring enough to have hard conversations while respecting the boundaries. You know, I once had a friend who constantly made plans but always canceled at the last minute. It was frustrating, and honestly, I wanted to distance myself from that person, but instead I chose to talk openly about how that hurt me. To my surprise, they admitted their struggles with overcommitment, and our friendship grew stronger because of that honesty. The third thing, family relationships. Loving through the big mess. And let's be real, family relationships are some of the hardest to navigate. Whether it's a sibling who doesn't see eye to eye with you or a parent who has disappointed you, unconditional love often requires extra grace. Colossians 3:13 reminds us to bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Take the prodigal son story in Luke 15. The father didn't stop loving the son even when the son wasted his inheritance. Instead, he welcomed him back with open arms. See, that kind of love challenges us to keep the door open for reconciliation, even when relationships feel broken. The fourth thing I want to talk about is what unconditional love is not. Here's something that we need to clarify. Unconditional love is not enabling destructive behavior. Galatians 6:1-2 says, "Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted." See, love doesn't turn a blind eye to sin or abuse. Instead, it seeks the other person's ultimate good, which might include saying, "This behavior needs to change." Unconditional love doesn't erase boundaries, it establishes them, and it helps to protect both parties while still offering grace and forgiveness. So, in closing, what can we learn from all this? See, unconditional love is about reflecting God's love in how we treat others, not ignoring their flaws, but choosing to love them. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's not always reciprocated. But when we model God's love, it has the power to transform lives, starting with our own life. I want to leave you with this. Who in your life needs to experience unconditional love from you this week? Maybe it's a spouse, a friend, or a family member. Pray about it and ask God to help you reflect His perfect love in an imperfect world. If this message resonated with you, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical ways to live out your faith every week. If you enjoyed this video, please check out this one. I think you'll like it too. And I'll see you next Monday morning on Monday Mornings with Michael.